Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's Marcus from TCG Discussions coming at you with a discussion video today. It's going to be incredibly long, and I hope you're here for the ride. This is going to be focused on the announcement that was made by Bandai about Fusion World. And let me just say that before I get into that I apologize for the lack of content. I'm still here. I think about you guys every day, and I think about putting stuff up every day and what ideas I have. But it's just been incredibly difficult because between my main job, the obligations I have to the military, and the fact that I added 4 days of work on a side job on top of it, because my wife and I are expecting a child soon, I've just been like really destroyed at the workload and doing my best to figure out what I want to bring into content and have work-life balance so I can bring stuff to you guys. So stuff's coming. And in light of this announcement, I want to let you know if the game does somehow perish to this new game, I will be bringing content on this game until its end. So that's not gonna change. But do know that I'm going to be upfront and honest that if they decide to discontinue Dragon Ball Super card game, I will probably be done with card games, period, because it's just not worth that price tag or investment anymore, especially when I've put so much heart and time and money and effort and energy into making myself the player that I am, the caliber player that I am, as well as the understanding of the game to the degree that I do. So I would probably just stop there. Before I get into Fusion World, I want to talk a little bit about the digital client, that it's going to be for the new game. Okay. And yeah, I'm just going to straight out say that Bandai dropped the ball bad. There's no getting away around. Like, Bandai, if you watch this video, because you probably don't watch my content, but if you do, this was a colossal failure. Like, failure. Okay? Number one, the entire community, I think, speaks in its reaction. Okay? And I'll get more into some of those reactions that I have. But look, I'm just going to be real with you. You announced at Nationals that this game was getting a client last year. You then released a beta that everybody and their mother wanted to sign up, participate, and be a part of. They did. And then you tell them that it can't be done and it has to be for a new game. So it sounds to me you either overpromised and bit off more than you could chew, being blunt, or you think that profit margins are good, so you're going to try and force people to play a new game and have a client that goes along with it. Both of which are going to result in a failure of your new game, if that's the motivation, and I'm missing something here. And if either of those motivations are true, you're just going to lose on all fronts in the game. Both games will die. But there's some things I think that they can do to not make that happen, and we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. But that's where my disappointment comes from. I was there at Nats, okay? I held up my camera to record it, sitting at my table among 500 people at our biggest national event ever. I was there. With the screaming, the hooing, the hollering, the ability to thank and meet and talk to the people of Japan. I was there. In person. Looking forward to the future where testing could be easier and accessible, that I don't have to go and be in front of other people or set up a camera somewhere. And now that's gone. So I think I speak for myself and probably a lot of other people when I say that is very disappointing. And I don't know why, complications or whatever, but yeah, I don't care. Don't promise something that you can't deliver on. Man, I just don't. Don't be that company. Just don't. You make a lot of money. I know you do. Not just in this game, but in all your other stuff. There's plenty of tech developers that could do this, that wanted to do this in their sleep. If you're telling me that you can't find them or you don't want to pay them or whatever, I just don't care. Just don't make the announcement. I'd rather say, look, we can't do it, backtrack, than try and make an entirely new card game and act like that's a barrier entry removal for new players to get into the Masters game. Which we'll talk about the Masters game again later, but I need to also address this other concern, okay? New players. Hear me when I say that I care deeply about your investment into the game. I think it's a great game. I think it's something that it's not as technical as like Yu-Gi-Oh or Magic, but it's got its complications and interactions and things that you have to keep in mind and think about. It's like there's levels to this, right? And like that's the mark of a good player in this game, is the ability to juggle all those things simultaneously while playing and executing your strategy to the best of your ability and taking in some side options to counter what your opponent's doing. But if this is in any part a reason why they are making this new game, and that is to say that Fusion World and Masters, which is what the Dragon Ball Super card game will become, is got similar mechanics, so it's a ease of access into understanding it on a simpler front than moving into a more complicated front. I've got some news for Bandai and anybody else who holds that opinion that that's a good idea. It's not. And I disagree 100% wholeheartedly. There's nothing you're going to say to convince me otherwise. I do not care that a new player finds it hard with anything. I don't. Now, I will help, be there, coach, ask me a ruling question, ask me about lines of play, what's the most optimal, what am I thinking, what would I do, ask me, have me watch so I can try and understand what you're doing. All that I get, and I'm more than willing to do to support the game. But coming up with an entirely new game and using new players as some kind of footstool to justify that is ludicrous. It is. Here's the other part. It's a financial investment. You're going to really ask people to invest in both? For what? Why would anybody in Masters, like me, who spent thousands upon thousands of dollars on your game, why on earth would I ever settle for competing at a lesser level just because it's more noob friendly? That makes no sense. And we'll get into why I think that it's going to fail. Pretty hard. But I don't care about that barrier for new people. Because the reality is every good player had to break it. And I care that you have fun. But let's be real. Every card game that is competitive, to a degree, is not going to be all about fun. Players at the top level care about playing precisely and edging out the outcomes at key points in the game. And when you get to a certain level, that's the fight that you want. If that's not what you want, then that's fine. You can still have fun playing the game. But acting like this, that we always need to think about new players. When somebody like me, who's been here since set 2, invested thousands of dollars into the game, time into the game, research into the game, money into the game. I go back to that so much. loyalty into the game. Time away from family into the game. Right? Like, when you just decide that the people who have not done that ever should have a stake in an attempt to attract them into it by designing an entirely new game, when you have the history that you do with Panini, right? And then potentially like it looking like this is that, no wonder you got the community reaction you did. And as for those new players, right? Before that announcement, we were about to have a guy at our locals that had bought a Supreme Kai deck and the Cumber SCR and a green Gohan deck entirely with the green SCR. The green Goku Peace Resolution SCR. And he was looking forward to playing. And he sold out the day after that announcement. Everything. Everything. Just put it all into lots. Spent about $1,000 on cards. And then sold all of it. All of it. Because he believed the game is going to die. He believed that his effort and money that he invested into it was going to be worthless, if not in February, in a year or two later. And he wanted out now because he didn't want to waste his time getting into a game where he thought that it was going to die with no future. And I think that regardless of whether it was their intention to, that is exactly what they signaled when they made that announcement. So let's talk about Fusion World, shall we? Bottom line is, it was a bad announcement. And people want to quit. It threw the entire community for a loop. There's no other way to look at it, Bandai. Like, what were you thinking, man? Think about it. I was there at Nats, right? You talk about a client, you give us a beta, and then you tell us it's not going to be for our game anymore. Imagine how disappointing that is. Do you know how many people look forward to that? That they don't want to have to go on Untap anymore? That they can connect with people in a more interactive way, and it looks like a legitimately good Dragon Ball game. And it just feels like... you know, we were stabbed in the back. That the loyal people who've been here for years, 6 months, learning the game, a month learning into the game, 2 weeks trying to get into the game, it just feels like we were left high and dry. So the digital client's going to be for Fusion World. It's a simple game, and it looks like it's going to be interesting, but here's my thoughts on it. Number one, the game has no pull. None whatsoever. No pull, either in card design, because I think the card design does not look good. But it has no pull other than being new friendly and having a digital client. Number two, being that the game has a digital client off the rip, you have a problem. Because guess what? If this is about adding revenue, kind of like what I talked about earlier, your revenue is going to get shot by the fact that there are players who think that, hey, guess what? I don't have to invest in anything really at all because all the cards are right here in a database. And if I want to learn how to play this game and have fun playing this game, I don't really need to invest any money, and you should make an online tournament status so I don't have to, because it's ridiculous that you want me to spend $1,000 on a case of anything just to get one of or two of the 3 SCRs that you're proposing are in the set. And to top it off of all of that, you expect me then to go out and get promos and all these other things when they could just be in that client. So you're going to shoot yourself in the foot sales-wise, because what you're offering is a product that they have for free, unless they have to pay for the client and maintain a fee, which that's not going to go well either, because no other game makes you do that. To my knowledge, anyway. Maybe I'm wrong with that, but to my knowledge, that's not how it works with Pokemon Magic. Or, you know, I think you might have to pay for Masters, and you can open up packs and pay for stuff like that. But that's entirely different. Those are microtransactions, right? It's not the same thing. So, yeah. I don't know the solution to that either. Not that wouldn't be like byproduct to get promo codes for cards in-game that you don't have in-game already, which would be bad. Number 3. If the promos for the game are good, and Masters isn't given the same treatment, this will backfire and kill the game on the spot. What do I mean by that? Bottom line is this. What built up your fan base to even be able to have this game have any attraction is the Masters game. And I'm going to tell you right now, the Masters game players or the Dragon Ball Super card game players are currently getting tired of promos that not only suck, but the good ones are left out there to be hundreds or $60 or $70 per color. This isn't like thwarting when he was a winter promo and a regular promo for $40-$60 and you had to like win to get your thwartings. This is like Brawly, Vegeta, Trunks, Cooler, and Sin being 90 plus a piece. And if they're dropping, it's because people are selling out of the game. And not to mention, number 4, like I said before, if one of these games goes, they both go. There's no way that if Dragon Ball Super card game or Masters dies, that somehow Fusion World and whatever that is somehow going to replace it. Because people didn't want to invest in 20 sets just to have you tell them you're buying a new game now. That's not going to work. I have friends who have said that's not how that's going to happen. So, good luck. My opinion, as far as Fusion World is concerned, Bandai dropped the ball. People saw Panini, then this game, and they fear the same thing is going to happen. And I can't blame them for that. Because up until today, I have a friend who's told me since set 6 that this game is eventually going to get the Panini treatment and die. This isn't the exact same thing as that, but it looks a lot like it. It's like, listen, it's like you're in a relationship with somebody, right? And then they cheat on you one time. They come back to you, a foreign person, saying they're never going to do it again. But the things they were doing over and over, staying out late at night, not texting back, arriving smelling a little bit different in the morning. It's like noticing the same patterns reoccur and then expecting it to be a different result. So whether it's next February, a year from now, or 2 years from now, or 3 years from now, or 5 years from now, that's what we fear. And hopefully there's some stuff later that I can bring that could hopefully be a solution. And this appeared to most of the people as an end of an era, where a top card game goes down in smoke because Bandai doesn't want to care about it anymore. This announcement also hurts new players coming into Masters. See the exhibit I'm talking about. Furthermore, the only positive is that it's new friendly and might take off because it has a digital client. If those are the only upsides, other than asking your fan base to spend more money in a game that they don't care about, I have no idea what to tell you, Bandai. So Masters, Let's move on to that. It will be the current game. We're allowed to keep and use the same old cards that we've used to. Has massive upsides, and Bandai can actually take this announcement and turn it upside down for the entire community based on the current perception that it is right now. They can turn this around. And I have some ideas. Because obviously I have nothing bad to say about Masters. They didn't announce anything for Masters other than it's going to be Masters, but I have some ideas. Number one, better promos for Masters. This can be flash fire and the driving force that we need to produce. Okay? Better promos. So, promises of that. So, reprints of great cards and expensive cards that we have. Take this year's Champ promos, for example. Take, SCRs that desperately need reprinted for collector value and price and playability. Mythic Boosters did an excellent job of providing that exact resource while also providing new content and reprinting old content. I mean, we're talking about Beyond All Limits as a promo was $30, dropped down to cents. Thwarting the Dark Empire, $70 to $100 some dollars, dropped down to $1, right? And these things, could get reprinted like Brawly, Vegeta, Trunks, Sin, Cooler. We could get those reprints and it would be a selling point, those, the Gohan SGRs, right? And we also need planned promos to coincide with current archetypes that actually work. Now, this upcoming set is exactly what I'm talking about. There's a lot of good decks in this next set. And this is going to kind of compensate for the overblown burner decks that apparently we've just shoveled into the game. And we need to stop doing that. I don't care if it means bringing less archetypes and producing less cards. What I care about is that we get quality decks that can compete in the meta without power creeping it out the butthole and simultaneously not making it so balanced that everything that's already unbalanced just crushes it, while also implementing a ban list that actually changes something, aka ban Golden Frieza, for example. Holy smokes. Number two, Masters can branch out to competitive play like they haven't. And I mean that, like they haven't. So we can make a cup in a circuit, a master circuit, a prestigious circuit alongside our nationals and our worlds and everything. They can have a circuit. They can have an alternate line, a stream of events that only the qualified of the qualified players can play in, and then come, represent, play, so on and so forth. Because right now, the way it is regionals is a big old pool of whoever, whenever. But Masters can take that to the next level. Now, I'm not saying Masters needs to be only about this circuit. Like I said, we still need regular regionals, but winners of those regionals, right? Let's say that we take, the top 4, right? They all get Masters invites to like a set number of events or a big event, right? So if you make top 4, you get your Masters invite. And then there's going to be a Masters tournament with a capped number of players, representatives of each nation, and then a certain of those groups then go on to an international event. So it could be like having 2 worlds, but it would be a lot more condensed and refined to a certain number of things. And these things, they can pass down. But I'm not saying that it has to be exactly like our current regional setup in a Nats, because you could offer different pricing, more prestigious pricing, cards that are in promos of cards that only you can get in Masters, like a stamp that has like Masters on it or something like that. I think that'd be really cool. Number 3, they need to bring back Storm Championships, both in their value, invite potential to nationals, and quite honestly, just for promos. Because it is abysmal. Whatever it is they decide to do, it's abysmal. And then lastly, number 4, show us the game won't die. Show us you still care. Show us that we deserve tournaments and the cards that we are wanting to look for. Make events insane. Have events and side events at every event. Every event. The TOs can't handle it, then you can't handle it, man. You don't have the space for those side events. Bandai wants these side events to attract casual players. You know who has fun? People who go to Team Wars. You know who has fun? People go to Zenkai Cups. You know who has fun? People go to regionals. You know who has fun? People who have a set 2 GOAT format. Make that stuff available, man. Rapid pods for registration. Why not? Why not have mini LCQs for regional and not regional invites, but regional entry? So you don't have to pay. You didn't have to sign up your spot. Only a certain number of slots are available for LCQ sign up if you couldn't make the deadline, right? And to be bigger, we need investment and security in the future of the game. You want to get better? You want to get bigger, Bandai? It doesn't look like trying to dump it into something else. It doesn't look like asking your player base to invest their time, money, effort, and skills into something else. It involves you bucking up, taking the bullet on how terrible of an idea this is, and walking down side by side with the rest of us and saying, we're in this with you. We're going to ride it out, right? We want attendance and everything to go up. What do you think as a community is going to drive that force? And 4, you need to make a digital client for the game. I know you don't want to hear this. I know you think it's complicated, but it doesn't need to be Brawley drops a gigantic meteor on Vegeta and he explodes. Nobody's asking for that. Okay? It doesn't need to look like the actual show of Yu-Gi-Oh! In order for us to be happy. We need something that is not untapped, that can facilitate simple mechanics. Like, hey, it's like Dev Pro. I mean, Dev Pro wasn't perfect in a line of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Mechanics, but it was still pretty good, and you could get a lot of volume and testing out of everything. And that's all you need. And I don't want to hear that it's not doable because every other major game has one. I already said it sounded like it was a cop-out. And while on tap is good, I actually hate that client. I think it's terrible. I think it's overly complicated, and furthermore, I think that Bandai overshot. And as I said earlier, and I think that you can turn around by giving us just a simpler client. It can be way simpler than that. And I know it exists. I know people can do it. Number 5, we can offer something to content creators and other special events. And that's just another way that Bandai can get back. And this leads me into my final thoughts. I'll be honest, I do not know where this leaves us at all. I don't know what the future is going to be, and I think it's very problematic for content creators. I mean, when Crossworld TCG is saying that I'm honestly not only sick of making content, but on top of it, I'm done for at least next month, that's a problem. When, the Lookout said that they had stuff in the pipeline and major things planned, and now every single bit of their content previously and going forward is irrelevant, that's a problem. Because I'm going to be honest with you, you want to talk about caring about the new players? Eggman, Stage 0, Lookout, Big O Notation, Crossworld TCG, Kaios Chris is getting up there. You know what? The community of content creators like myself, even though I'm not the biggest and the most frequent content creator out there, we are the people that your new players look at for deck ideas, for inspiration, for the ability to figure out what we're thinking, right? We are the thing that attracts your new players the most. Aside from their general interest into the game or their general interest into the characters. So you could give back to that by not making the content irrelevant and guaranteeing us that future. And I'm going to be honest, man. I think your new game is dead before it even launches. Who are you drawing? Who? Who wants to sacrifice all of what we've already given to go put all of our eggs in a basket over here unless you're willing to pay for that, which you're not? And ask us to step up for what? Not going to happen. And I can't express as a competitive player and a collector how much Bandai killing the game or announcing anything similar to the end will prevent me from ever playing for them ever. I don't care what the IP is. I don't care what it is. It won't matter. It will be the end for me. Personally, I think Bandai needs to make stronger archetypes across the board. BT22 is already doing a good job of that. But we need this to be an ongoing thing going forward. We need to come together and support the game. This is to the community, not to Bandai. But we need to come together now and support the game and show them that this is what we want. We don't care. We need to boycott. If we want to protect this game, boycott Fusion World and boycott the client. Bottom line. I'm not suggesting a revolution against Bandai, but I'm saying we've suffered. I didn't. People suffered with Panini. They trusted you a second time. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And there will be no third time. So let's get this clear. We need to support the game. This isn't the time to sell out. This is the time to invest. This is the time to show where the loyalties lie. And really, really dig in deep and let them know if you want your pockets, they'll be over here. Because I'm going to tell you something right now. Right now. They could get petty and say, well, we're going to kill our game if you don't want to buy our new game. They can. It's going to have the same result as if we all said, we don't want your new game. We want a better version of the current game that we already have. So we're not going to invest in that game. And that will show them everything they need to know. We're sorry. We won't do anything like that again. We're a top 10 card game, and we want to stay that way. What can we do? Right? Because regardless, it is about this at the end of the day. And if this starts getting affected, there is no new game in the world that's going to save it after the continual betrayal that they have felt as a community to support this company over and over and over and over again that I have right now. So that's it. That is all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for listening. I'm really excited for the new archetypes in set 22. Look forward to some content coming soon. And I will see you guys in the next one. As always, This is Marcus from TCG. I'll see you guys next time. And let's step into whatever this is going to be together. But you guys know where I'm standing.